The Egyptian mummy of tomb KV55 that could change all religions. The greatest and most evocative discovery in the history of archaeology is the tomb of Tutankhamun, a pharaoh of Egypt, and he died about 19 years old. He was the son of Akhenaten. Now, since then, it's said that, yes, valuable treasures have been recovered, but there has been no other such important discovery. However, they are constantly whispered about several mysterious discoveries which are hidden from the public. It's not just a strange void beneath the pyramids, which Plato wrote about, that there's a whole city underneath, a lavish, luxurious city under the Giza pyramids, nor the possible existence of the Atlantis archives beneath the Sphinx. Many times, even an ordinary tomb, but quite different, can contain things that in the end are hidden from the general public. One of them is tomb KV55. In January of 1907, financier Theodore M. Davis had hired archaeologist Edward R. Ayrton and his team to conduct excavations in the Valley of the Kings in Egypt, on the west bank of the Nile River, opposite the city of Thebes. Almost all the pharaohs from the Golden Age of Egypt are buried in this famous valley. On January 6, 1907, Ayrton's team discovered the entrance to the tomb known as KV55. They informed Davis the next day and began removing debris blocking the entrance, and on January 9, 3 days later, Davis and Ayrton entered the tomb, accompanied by Joseph Lyndon Smith and Arthur Weigel. Among many, the central interest was in a sarcophagus and its mummy. In the following days, the archaeological identification and the relevant photographs of the objects began. Overall, the appearance of the tomb was not remarkable. However, the identification of the mummy was complicated by the fact that the objects found seemed to belong to many different people. It was suggested that the tomb was created in a hurry and that the mummy had originally been placed elsewhere and transported. The objects based on the objects for the identity of the mummy were many. The Queen Tiye and Akhenaten to Nefertiti and the Pharaoh King Shemkare. The researchers who began to identify the mummy were really faced with a challenge. Eventually, scientific examination revealed that the mummy was a man, probably around 20 to 25 years old, closely associated with King Tutankhamun. As we said, King Tut died around 19 years old. Perhaps it was his brother, who is believed to have been the son of Akhenaten. Another theory was that the remains belonged to Shemkare, who may have been the successor of the Akhenatens. Now, in February 2010, further tests were performed that determined the age of this mummy to be around 35, while the scientists stated with relative certainty that the skeletal remains in the tomb KV55 actually belonged to Akhenaten himself, son of Amenhotep III and father of King Tutankhamun. Oh, I was wrong. Okay. Amenhotep III was the father of King Tut. Now, Akhenaten was originally named Amenhotep and was one of Egypt's most radical pharaohs, known for abandoning traditional Egyptian polytheism. He believed in one god. He introduced the first monotheistic religion, which focused on the true god Athena, Athena being the goddess of the ancient Greeks. Now, it's possible then that Akhenaten's later reputation as a heretical king, quote-unquote heretical pharaoh, led workers to remove his mummy from its original location and abandon it where archaeologists eventually found it. But behind this whole story, there is a strange rumor that could overthrow all monotheistic religions if it's true. It is said, therefore, that incidents were carried out in the background that were silenced. It's claimed that the mummy has been extinct for some time, and in 2000 there were indications that it reappeared, quote-unquote, at the Museum of Egyptology in Munich, Germany, and along with many accusations among archaeologists for hiding stolen objects, experts decided to perform various measurements and analysis on the mummy that was found again. But before the tests and exams even started, everything stopped abruptly. And why? Well, nobody knows why. According to rumor, occasional clues are said to have led experts to conclude that Akhenaten could in fact be Moses himself, and that the mummy belonged logically to Moses' brother Aaron. Amazing. Well, this is rumor, of course. This information is unconfirmed and can easily be dismissed by anyone, but if they really hide them, some nuggets of truth are in these things, these rumors, then you can understand very well the obvious reason that they did not survive and never reach the world. They would shock a huge part of the population on the planet who believe that in the biblical narrative, and immediately there would be reactions from this world as well as the priesthood until all the foundations of the world religions collapsed. Therefore, this discovery was kept secret from humans, some people believe. So what do you think? Could this rumor contain traces of truth? Please leave your comments. Thank you for your support. I've translated this for you from a Greek article. Now, the obvious question is, who was the Egyptian pharaoh that challenged Moses? So who was the Pharaoh of Egypt during the time of Moses? Historians theorize the identity behind one of the Bible's most vengeful villains. The Egyptian king is the principal villain of the Exodus story, unlike Pharaoh who knew Joseph. The Pharaoh of Moses, the Joseph Pharaoh who knew Joseph, of course, made Joseph have all the authority of the Pharaoh of Egypt. And basically, Joseph, one of the colored robe, one of the sons of Jacob, was the person who saved all of Israel, and Egypt prospered under Joseph and the Pharaoh of Joseph. But the Pharaoh of Moses is cruel and vindictive, and when Moses asked him to release the Israelites, Pharaoh makes the slaves work harder, depriving them of straw to make sun-dried mud bricks, even though the daily quota of finished bricks must remain the same, according to Exodus 5:7-8. So the identity of Pharaoh in the Moses story has been much debated, but many scholars are inclined to accept that that Exodus king Ramses II, Pharaoh Ramses II, comes to mind. The Bible confirms that the Israelites were to build supply cities, Pithom and Ramesses, for Pharaoh. Egyptian records confirm that the kings of the 19th dynasty, that's about 1293 to 1185 BC, launched a major military program in the Levant. As part of this effort, King Seti I, about 1290 BC, built a new garrison city, which his successor, Ramesses II, about 1279 BC, later called P. Ramesses. Ramesses II also built a second city dedicated to his personal patron, Atum, called Per Atum. So these two cities are quite possibly the biblical Ramesses and Pithom. Now, I thought that the Exodus was about 300 years before that, 1500 BC. So that's according to National Geographic, who was the Pharaoh at the time of Moses in Egypt was, according to some historians, Ramesses II. And this is his mummy lying in the Egyptian Museum. Please leave your comments. Thank you for your support. Please support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.